good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday, June 21st Newark Council staff event. I thank all of you for being here today, council, city staff, and those of you from our community that are here to participate. I think this is an important day for us. I'm hoping that there will be a lot of meaningful conversation and perhaps a lot of helpful suggestions and ideas that we can take away in the weeks and months to come. With that, I will call the meeting to order and turn it over to Dave Waldlum.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Waldlum, and I am the Associate Director of the Minor Center at Lafayette College, and I am your facilitator, the facilitator here for the morning. First of all, on behalf of City Council and everyone in Newark, thank you for coming. Us Pennsylvania and New Jersey people, I guess, are prone to make that error. I apologize. But thanks for coming. Just so you know, in terms of my background, the Minor Center is a very unusual program for a college or university. We provide services, training, and programs to municipal government. Before coming to the Minor Center 7 years ago, I had been a town manager in Southeast Pennsylvania for 27 years. So what I do is I provide my assistance to municipal government in a wide range of services. I do municipal studies, financial analysis, executive recruitment, preparation of salary and benefit surveys, preparation of strategic plans. I facilitate public hearings and meetings, or meetings of the board and the staff, much like I'm doing here. And so what I've done for the past several weeks is to try to immerse myself into Newark, to understand the culture, the people, the issues, and all of those kinds of things. As many of you know, because I interviewed you, I've spent the last several weeks in both conversations and meetings with many of the staff and city council to understand their perspectives, views, and all that kind of thing. So, what we're going to do this morning, yes?
So what caused you to leave your position as a municipal manager in Great Town?
My desire to move to the Minor Center. So, anyway, what we're going to do, let me just tell you logistically what we're going to do here this morning. We're going to hopefully have a dialogue. You're going to witness and be a part of a dialogue amongst council members and staff to talk about the form of government that is going on and what the issues are, what the strengths and the weaknesses, and what members of the board, of council and staff believe can be done to improve it. Government's always a work in progress. Government at any level is a work in progress. We're starting now, somewhere in the middle, 10 o'clock, something like that, whatever the middle is. We're going to stop, take a break, let everybody get up. But please, in the meantime, the bathrooms are, by the way, at the front door, on either side of the front door. There's coffee and water and food here. Please, feel free to get up anytime and to help yourself. And the game plan, I think, again, is to hopefully conclude this event around 11:30, whatever around 11:30 is, but somewhere in that neck of the woods, and then to allow public comment at the end. Okay? So, what I thought I would do to start, and I apologize, it's kind of cockeyed here, this is the way the screen works, but I'm going to go through just a very brief presentation. And then I'm just going to sort of sit back and have council talk about issues. Okay? So, there's a challenge of managing in the public sector. It's unusual. Policy is set by elected officials. This municipality, like all municipalities, is mission-driven, not profit-driven. The final product is public services, a quality not universally defined. When you provide public services, there's always going to be differences of opinion as to how well a municipality provides those services. Decisions are not always popular with everyone. You've all heard the stereotype that in government, if you please 51% of the people, you're doing a great job. That's really not the goal of government. But the bottom line is, there's such differences of opinion and perceptions and views that this is what it comes down to. There's always going to be a decision, frequently, that comes that isn't popular with some people. The rumor mill runs round and round and round. Rumor mill runs round and round everywhere. It's not just a government thing. But in government, the rumor mill is a little bit different Because there's always this perception that someone's getting something, or someone's doing something, someone's getting something that they shouldn't. There's this, you know, the whisper down the alley kind of principle, if you've ever heard of that. This is a common thing that's quoted, it's not my expression, no good deed goes unpunished. Basically, you've got to believe in what you're doing. That's what any elected board member, that's what any staff person has got to follow. He's got to do what he thinks is the right thing. And this is a Leon quote here that says, character is knowing the difference between right and wrong, and having the guts to do the right thing. Because sometimes, as a government official, whether you're on staff, whether you're on council, frequently the right thing won't necessarily be the easy decision. It won't necessarily be the popular decision. Okay? Our municipal goal, I said, we're in a very unusual business here. We provide public services. That's what we do. Our view, very simply, and this is a quote from God only knows how long ago, to provide the highest quality we can at the lowest public cost. Always the view of government. It always has been. It always will be. There's many corollaries that run with that, but that's the general one. This really isn't a stated goal, but the reality is controversy creates troubles. Controversy creates an atmosphere that's not healthy. Controversy is something that more people struggle with than others. So certainly in government, we try to avoid controversy. But sometimes making the right decision, sometimes having a discussion about options of things that we can do is going to stir that. And this is a very heavily regulated business that we work in here. Just no sooner do you figure out the rules when you work in it, that somebody above you, some government level above you, passes a new one. Okay? So, are municipalities a business? It's a question that's asked. I would tell you, absolutely positively, yes. But a very unique business. A business, as I said, heavily regulated. A business that there's lots and lots of rules. What else makes it unusual? We end up actually, because of our rules, focusing almost sometimes more on process than we do on the final product. Now, part of that's absolutely necessary. We need to be transparent. We have open records laws that we follow. We must allow the public to participate, to tell us what their views are. Part of that's absolutely essential. But the reality is that sometimes all those rules and regulations and all of that input, we end up focusing more on how we get to where we go than in fact the bottom line of the delivery of the public service, whatever that public service is. But when I say that we're not in the private sector, we have a budget, we have revenues, we have expenditures. We can allow our expenditures to exceed our revenues. Unlike no different than any other business. However, we don't have profit. We've got to break even. And really our goal, and all the staff here and council would tell you, their real goal is, if possible, we want our revenues to exceed our expenditures. We don't want it just to be equal. We want to have them greater. But yet, we're not chasing profit. And you know, it's fascinating. In some ways, profit, the chasing of profit, can be a wonderful motive. Now, it can also cause people to do unethical things, immoral things, illegal things, all that. But chasing a profit is a good thing. It requires people to be efficient. It requires people to make decisions that maximize revenue. But in our business here, it's not about maximizing revenue. It's about delivery of public services. That's first. Okay? Because we don't sell anything. We don't manufacture something. We don't sell a widget. We don't sell a car. We produce public services to people. Okay?
David, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
Our goal, as you stated, it was a couple slides back. Our actual goal on our website is something different. And it says the emphasis on quality, value, and responsibility. And then I'm going to disagree with we don't have profit. It's not a financial profit, but it is a quality of life. And the better job we do plan for the future for everybody, for this half of the room, and their involvement in helping us determine that plan for all of our future is in place of a corporate profit, if you will. So I'm uncomfortable with this whole slide here. As far as, yes, we're heavily regulated, but we do have a final product, and we do have a goal, if you will.
Sure. I agree with you. If I implied something different, that's incorrect. I think your goal is to be efficient, to be productive, to deliver public services in the best way you can, to serve the people. I think you're very much, as I said before, mission-driven.
We are, but it's not just what I'm hearing, and I just want to push this point a little bit more, is public services such as the supply of water, or public services such as the supply of adequate sewer, and so on and so forth. It's not that at all. It's quality of life overall. And it's when you look at our laws and our charter, we are responsible, this body is responsible for the beauty of this town. It's explicitly stated. So, we don't have a profit. We don't have that profit. We don't have a financial profit. We do have another profit that affects all of us from this time forward.
Great clarification.
Thank you.
Great. So,
Dave, I'd like to comment on your third bullet point there. You must answer to a budget where revenues must equal expenditures. But if revenues don't equal expenditures, you can just raise taxes. And that's not the same as a business. There's a coercive nature to government that we have to answer to.
Okay. So, I'm a big fan of building a team in an organization, building a team in municipal government, building a team in any company. I think it's a team effort. I think it's a group of people, very simply, in its most basic definition, working together to achieve common goals. Okay? Within teamwork, I think a critical component of teamwork is leadership. And it's leadership shown starting right with the elected council, to the staff, and everyone that works for the city. All the people on the planning commission, the zoning hearing board, all those people that are associated are involved in the leadership of this municipality and this community. Okay, hold on to the end, and then we'll let people speak, I'm sure. Okay?
Well, I think it applies to this slide.
Okay, the game plan here is we're going to allow public input. Okay, there'll be public input at the end, as I said. So just hang on, and you'll all have a chance to comment, I assure you. So I think core values of leadership, what I look for. Okay, honesty, ethics, trust, efficiency, productivity, accountability, selflessness. Okay? All of those, go back just for a sec, I think those are what I call core values of leadership. I think they're things that we expect and we hope all of our leaders will exhibit. It's important to maintain core values as a leader. Okay? Critical components of leadership itself. A vision of goals. Managing change. Things never stay the same. And we're always confronted with change. We're confronted with the need to change. We're all leery of change. Why can't we continue to do it the same way we always have? Okay? But in fact, the world's changing. Our community is changing. Our people are changing to some degree. Some very slowly, some things faster than others. But change is all around us. It always has and it always will be. Knowledge of subject matter. Obviously, it's important for us as leaders of our community to understand what it is that we're looking at and to be educated and to learn. Delegation of authority is important. Council is a part-time position. They're not working here full-time. They entrust and empower the city manager and her staff to run the day-to-day activities of the government. City manager can't do it all herself either. Each department head can't do it himself. There's all delegation of authority going down. People need to be decision makers. There's that old adage that says, when confronted with the need to make a decision, you have three options. make the right decision, the wrong decision, or the worst is to make no decision. So people need to be decision makers. They need to be educated, they need to understand what they're doing, they need to have knowledge of their subject matter, but they need to be decision makers. Recognizing sometimes the decisions you make aren't going to be universally popular with everyone that you make them with. I'm a huge fan of passion. And we have lots of passionate people here. On council, I know because I interviewed them. The staff, I know because I interviewed them. People who have passion bring their lunch pail to work every day. They care about what they do, they want to work hard, they put their heart and soul into what they do. Passionate people are great. Passionate people always have some type of tendency to go sort of to the edge and a little bit over the edge. To me, that's fine. Much easier to bring passionate people back just a wee bit as opposed to try to work with people who, have the exact opposite attitude. I believe, if there's one critical component of leadership, it's communication. And I believe that because I think that communication affects all of these above us. Not just by itself, but it's involved in every single one of those. It is the most critical component, in my opinion, of leadership. It's the most critical component of effective management of any company, small or large, domestic or international, public or private. It's crucially important that in government, in municipal government, that we have communication in so many different directions. I believe that there's first among council members, that they communicate with each other, whether it's verbal, whether it's in writing, whether it's in emails, that they all understand each other and their views. And they're not always going to agree. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's very healthy for council members to disagree on issues. But I think also effective communication between manager and the council. In Newark's code, the manager is the chief administrative officer. She runs the day-to-day activities of the government. She recommends policy, she does research, she does all kinds of different things involved in the running of the day-to-day activities of the government. Obviously, she has to communicate with the board, and effectively. Obviously, the manager can't do it all. She has to communicate with her staff. Council and staff have their own very, very similar, related, but again, slightly different relationship. Staff, because of diversity of what Newark provides in all of its business, and you're in the electric business, and there are not all that many communities across the whole United States that are in the electric business. So right away, that makes you unique. And in that particular case, the staff is constantly reviewing matters, reviewing new policies, making recommendations to go through the manager and then up to council. And council reviews with the staff their memos, their reports, their recommendations. So there's that relationship, that effective communication necessary between council and the staff also. And then, of course, in our world of transparency is that very crucially important level of communication between all city leaders, council, staff, everyone, and all of those people who live and work in Newark. Okay? So, my last thing here is, as I said, I've spent several weeks now going through and trying to immerse myself in what I call the culture of Newark, try to understand the people, try to understand the issues, try to apply sort of my perspective, if you will, which is just that, mine, and I'm not an expert, I'm merely one outsider, as to what I see, and my observations to now slowly now turn this over to council and to have them have a conversation. So, I believe, as I said before, that communication is number one, most important ingredient. Now, I'm not so sure that while everyone's communicating here, I see all kinds of evidence of that, I'm not so sure that what I would say that it's effective. I'm not so sure it's clear. Communication as a leader is an art and a science that you can never master. And in fact, the best communicators in the world, I believe, understand that. It's a work in progress. Whether you and I are talking face to face, whether we're writing emails and memos, whether we're talking in a group with others, it is so easy to misunderstand what I'm saying, what I mean, and back and forth. Another reason that communication is so hard to do is that there's a difference between listening and hearing. Okay? You're all listening, you're looking at me, I don't see anybody dozing off yet, there's caffeine, everybody's awake, that's good. Okay? Whether you're all hearing exactly what I'm intending to say is another whole question. So when we're talking, when we're communicating and writing, listening and hearing aren't always necessarily the same thing. It's the number one reason why it's an art and science that no one can master. I'm a huge fan of trust and confidence and respect. And I see varying levels here of trust and confidence among all the different relationships, all the different players, if you will, in this game. That is, the members of council, the staff, and all of that. And I see on different kinds of fronts what I would call to be an us versus them. And I don't mean that in a vicious way. I don't mean that in a military way. I don't mean that in a mean-spirited way. What I mean is that, I said before, I'm a big fan of teamwork. Not that everybody on the team can't disagree with each other from time to time. Not only do I think that's okay, I think that's perfectly healthy. I think it's diversity of opinion and view and challenging someone to be on the top of their game is a great thing. But I'm not so sure that we're all as connected, all the members of the team, as it could be. And that's led to some frustration on some parts. And perhaps we'll hear about that as we go through this morning. And in the end, you know, what's the old adage? A chain is only strong as its weakest link, or one of those types of things. I'm not a big fan of cliches. When the team is functioning and communicating, talking about things, disagreeing respectfully and all that, they're functioning more efficiently. And I'm not so sure about that now. And in the bottom line, you know, there's that thing that says, is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? I will tell you also my observations about Newark, and I am not an expert in anything. I've never professed to be, and I never will profess to be, except that I'm a huge fan of community. I'm a huge fan of municipal government. I'm a huge fan of, because this is what I've done for a living, I'm a huge fan of the fact that we need to view the glass as not just half full and rising. It's a difference. It's a matter of being an optimist. I think what I see in Newark here is great things. I think it's a super community. You know, it makes you unusual because you have a university in the middle of your town. They're such an integral partner with you. And a lot that goes on there affects you, and what you do affects them. You know, certainly it's that kind of relationship. But beyond the university, there's just so many things that I think you have going for you. And I'm not so sure that some of the levels of frustration or disagreements haven't at least affected that with some people, that they don't necessarily view that glass as being half full and rising. Okay? So that, I'm going to get this out of the way. And we'll just kind of go from here. And I just go this way. Just going to sort of turn it over and allow council to start their conversation. And I will say this, I don't know how the acoustics are. It's easier for me because I'm standing up and I got a big voice. I'm told I have a big mouth. I don't know when the voice and mouth are one and the same. So I'm not too right by me, but I just encourage everyone to remember that we don't have mics here, so speak up. Anyone?
Well, I'll begin. I think that your last slide on the observations you've seen are pretty accurate. Certainly, a lot of those bullet points I think I have felt and noticed since being mayor. I think that it's troubling. I think it's affecting our ability to effectively be for and work for the citizens of our community. I think that it's impacting progress in many ways, and I am curious as to how other council members and Carol and Renee, what their thoughts are on this. I certainly, for me, I think trust, confidence, and respect is the big one for me, that I certainly feel a lack of respect, quite frankly, and it's concerning. And I think today is an opportunity for us to share those concerns. I think it's healthy. I think that it is a way for us as a group to work on some of these things that I think can help us be an even better council and an even better city. So I'm curious, I don't know who would like to chip in first, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on some of these observations.
Oh boy,
Well-
who's going to speak first?
Go ahead. I would like to say, I've been on council now for a year and 2 months, and there have been times where I have been frustrated because we'll have a workshop and we'll invite the public to come to discuss an important item, and by the end of the workshop, we will have our discussion. We will give the city staff direction on how to proceed, and then they will put a lot of work into it, and then it'll come back to council at a regular council meeting. And I get frustrated because council, as a result of it coming back and getting they'll give entirely different direction to the city. And I have seen projects just stagnate. And it's not fair to the staff. I think the staff does a good job. And I think it is our job to question. And I think we do that at the workshop so that when it comes to council, it comes for final action. And I get very frustrated when these things bog down and don't move forward anymore.
And you want to answer your phone or email?
I can just share that there is frustration among staff. I'm very proud of our staff and the work that they do and what we're able to provide our community. And I know that they have been frustrated more lately than in the past about the work that they've done and the quality work I believe that they've done and not being able to move forward and do better. We're looking at efficiencies and various things, and that's a concern that we're talking about on a regular basis.
It seems like when information comes back from staff, we have additional questions, and then we haven't either given staff enough information about you need to include enough backup when it comes to financial decisions, that we need to be much clearer to staff how far they need to go or what things to include when they come back to the table so we don't end up with a whole nother discussion about the direction. So that's the council saying, I need this much when we give a direction, maybe half as much of that. So.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think part of that is the communication problems that I feel and see, is that what are our expectations when we ask staff questions? Are they clear expectations? And number two, I think it would be helpful if we begin attaching some deadlines on when we need the information by. Secondly, it goes for council members too. I know that we receive emails, we receive a lot of emails, that's part of our job. And it's also part of our job to respond to staff.